Hey Bailey, welcome. Welcome Bailey. Hey Kaylee, welcome. Yeah, so Bailey asked, will I be going over the answers to the homework tomorrow? Yes, I will. And I'll be giving you a little bit more detail to try to help you understand what I'm gonna be asking on the exam. Um, the exam again, just so you know, you'll be able to take it over the weekend with a lot of flexible time. I want to allow y'all to have two attempts. You'll be able to take it whenever you like, basically over the weekend, um, and have plenty of time to take it. And it's really meant to be a diagnostic. It could bump your grade up if that's something you're looking to do, um, but also it's something that I would like to see where y'all are at. I think I'm pretty confident that you're doing pretty well with the subjunctive, but it would be really nice to have this kind of milestone. Like, okay, you've taken the exam, you've checked in, and cool, we can move on. So yes, I will be going over the answers to the homework tomorrow. I hope y'all are doing well. Again, this is the third one that I've offered where I've kind of just hung out and offered to answer questions or just check in. So please say hello in the chat so we know that you're here. And I'm happy to answer. Bailey asked some really good questions about, am I going to go over the homework tomorrow? And yes, the answer is yes. I'm happy to answer other questions about curriculum or about the course. Um, we did get more information from UW Green Bay, and I look forward to sharing that with y'all. But we could also just check in. It's up to you. Okay, so Bailey asked, have you made anything interesting in the past week? I haven't. Creativity wise, I've been kind of stuck. I haven't been inspired to pick up a pen and do some drawing. I haven't really done any painting. And that's kind of too bad. And I think that kind of comes and goes. I've been sucked a little bit into Animal Crossing, so I've been spending a little too much time on the Switch. Um, and I'm reading a good book, but no, I'm afraid I haven't created anything interesting. Have you? Have y'all created anything interesting in the past week? Um, like I said, I haven't, and I know a lot of people who are really thriving and doing a lot of creative work. I also know a lot of people who are struggling, who are normally really creative, but this is a really hard time, and they don't, they aren't feeling inspired, um, and that's okay too. Oh, baking, yeah. I guess baking's good, yeah. I made a really delicious ham and olive and Swiss cheese kind of loaf. It's kind of like a savory cake. Uh, and I made a really fancy lemon drizzle cake. So I have been baking and cooking quite a bit. Cool. Kaylee has been sketching a lot. That's awesome. Yay! Miss Punzel approves. Miss Punzel's excited to hear about that. Have you been sketching on your iPad? Have you been sketching on pen and paper or pencil? And then Bailey, were you saying you've been baking or have I been baking? Because I have been baking, that's true. I hadn't thought about that. Whoa, cream cheese cookies. So are those like cream cheese brownies but in cookie form, or are they strictly cream cheese, not chocolate? That's pretty cool. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's great. Kaylee said she's been doing it with pencil and paper. That's awesome. Pencil's so nice because you can get lots of different shades and softnesses. I often write with really soft pencils because I like making darker marks, but I know it's a lot of fun to switch it up a little bit to get a lot of different variations and such. When I sketch, I tend to sketch with just a ballpoint pen, and I really like kind of the starkness of that kind of line work. I'm not very good, but it's what I enjoy. Yeah, I was thinking of making a short video. I don't think I'll make it, but I think I'll release some kind of recipe for y'all. The ham, olive, and Swiss cheese kind of loaf is popular in France for like a apéritif. So it's like a pre-dinner snack, like an appetizer that people will have with, they'll be eating olives on the side, or they'll have a little bit of that with some juice or wine or what have you. Um, and it's really tasty. It's a bit of a process, but it's pretty tasty and fun. They kind of taste okay. So Bailey's saying about the cream cheese cookies, they kind of just taste like poofy sugar cookies. Yeah. Yes, the cream cheese just makes them floof. That makes sense. Yeah, baking's a lot of fun. Where if you add a little extra egg white, it rises a little higher. If you add an extra egg yolk, it gets a little richer, denser. And cream cheese, like butter and sour cream and yogurt and buttermilk are it's just another form of kind of fat that you can add to give your baking a richness. Oh, Kaylee said mechanical pencils work really well. Yeah, yeah, I like mechanical pencils a lot. Partly because you can switch it out, right? If it's all point 0.5 lead, you can have 4B in there and then swap it out for some 2H or something like that. It's very cool. Yeah.
We ask them if they watch British baking show.
Miss Punzel is asking, I don't know if you can hear with my mic. Miss Punzel is asking, probably specifically Bailey, but all of you, I guess, if you watch the Great British Baking Show. That's popular in our home. Miss Punzel watches it and rewatches it, and I end up kind of watching it with her. I enjoy it, but I don't have quite the appetite for rewatching it quite as much. But it's fun. It's very wholesome and fun. And people are so impressive with what they do. And Kaylee, are you doing mostly like portrait sketches? Are you doing character sketches? Are you just sketching whatever you see? Are you doing landscapes? Are you doing animals or like fantasy stuff? Or what kind of stuff are you sketching? What's inspiring you? Miss Punzel is currently wrapping a present for another teacher, and our cat is trying to help. It's pretty funny. What do you mean they changed pretty soon? So you only like the seasons with? So Bailey said only the first 3 seasons. They changed it pretty soon after that.
Oh, they changed.
So Mary Berry
production
to crew.
Company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the new host.
Yeah. So
They
you're
drew on me.
you're a purist. You want to stick with Mary Berry. No Prue for you. That's okay. Mary Berry is pretty wonderful. And Kelly said I sketch characters, mostly random, but yeah. Oh, very cool. I follow a lot of artists on Instagram. It's such a great resource for artists. There's so many people who are doing such cool work, mostly digital work, really, but really impressive work. Whether it's webcomics, or I follow a lot of webcomics, but also like fantasy. People do fantasy commissions for people who play D&D and stuff. And it's really impressive to see this kind of creative explosion pre-quarantine and also post-quarantine in a way. Yes, Mel and Sue and Mary Berry, and you're going to omit Paul Hollywood, and that's okay. You can pretend like he doesn't exist.
Do you think
But Mel and Sue are pretty great, and Mary Berry's.
A French baking show would be good?
Miss Punzel's asking if I think a French-British baking show,
Well, not French British.
French baking show would be
French
good.
baking.
And there is a French baking show. It is Nailed It. And it's kind of goofy, but it's not.
That's French.
Mm,
Oh, they did a
mhm,
French version. I think it's
mhm.
American too.
And they did. It's called Nailed It. It's on Netflix if you're curious. I wasn't super interested in it. It's kind of goofy challenges, and it's more um, comedy based around people failing, kind of failing to bake. And the way I see it is in Anglo-Saxon countries and countries like Anglophone countries in general. So we're talking like Australia, England, and the US. There's kind of an appreciation for amateurs doing stuff well. In France, there's a little bit of that, but there's more of a culture of you train in something, you get really good at it, and then you kind of respect the people who are really good at it, and you don't, you kind of stay. You don't. I wouldn't say stay in your lane, but there isn't so much of enthusiasm for amateurs as there is in the West. There's some, but I don't think it would be as much of a market as the Great British Baking Show or any kind of American thing. So I don't think it would really take off. But what do I know?
Oh.
And to come back to Kaylee saying that you sketch characters. I am part of a couple D&D Discord servers, and a lot of people have started because I think they're quarantined. Um, they were either sketching before or they started sketching more now, and they've been sharing a lot, which has been really cool and brave. It's kind of brave to share that stuff, and it's been really great to see people just support each other. So they're sharing this stuff that's clearly kind of amateur. They're trying to get better at the art thing. They're trying to get better at drawing and digital illustration, and it's mostly character portraits. And it's really, really cool to see them share this stuff and people be so positive. It's not so, nobody's dunking on anybody else. It's kind of just like, oh yeah, great work with this. It's kind of constructive, which is nice. So I hope, Kaylee, if it's something that you really enjoy doing, sketching, I hope that you're part of a community. It can, like I said, Discord or Instagram. I hope you're part of some kind of digital community that allows you to get that kind of support and constructive feedback and inspiration from others who are doing similar work. So while I'm waiting for more comments to come through, I just wanted to say I did speak with a professor at UW Green Bay, and what's become clear is um, at Verona, the grading has remained stable, where the grade you received in quarter three is going to be the grade you receive for quarter four, essentially in semester two. It's a little different with UW Green Bay, where French 4 and other college credit and high school classes, you are expected to continue doing the work, and you will get a quarter 4 grade that is reflected in that work. and they're asking us to continue grading you and such. That said, UW Green Bay is embracing kind of a more gentle approach to grading, which I think is wise to say the least. And so it's kind of understood that you will not be doing nearly as many assignments or as rigorous work as you normally would be. And so I guess I would say that for French 4, if you are looking to get retroactive credits, you do have to continue the work in the class. But to kind of strike a compromise between UW Green Bay's requests and those of Verona, I'm going to try to really keep it light. Kaylee said that she's in a D&D chat on Discord with some friends and we draw each other's characters. That's so cool. That's so cool. And I think D&D is nice because everybody has their own idea for their characters and NPCs, and it's fun to make that visual because it's going to change based on different people's interpretations. And Bailey has asked, has Miss Punzel seen any rare birds on our walks? And she has. She's seen some pretty cool ones. I can't tell you which ones, but she's got some pretty great ones that she's seen, and she's got a telephoto camera that she's using, a telephoto lens on a digital camera that she's using to capture some of them. I know that we've seen some pretty cool ones.
Are you asking about my birds?
Yeah. What birds?
All the birds.
All the birds. Any like rares?
Okay, this morning I saw wood ducks.
Wood ducks? Uh-huh.
An osprey.
An osprey, that's pretty cool. You'd seen a bald eagle at the lake.
Yeah. That hasn't been there in a while. I don't know.
What were the flappers? The flutters?
What are you talking about?
The ones that have the interesting wings.
Yellow-rumped warblers?
Yellow-rumped warblers. But there was one that's like, I don't know, it'll come to me. So Bailey, to answer your question, yes, she has. But
Hi, Bailey. Oh, yeah,
there's a delay,
leg.
So yeah.
Hi, Bailey.
So she has, but I don't know birds that well. So oftentimes we will go and we will see birds, and I will be like, oh, is that a lopsided tail sparrow? Or is that a spotted red duck eater, bug guzzler? And I'll just make up random names because I don't know the different birds. It's a way of entertaining myself. But she's really good at that stuff. All right, that's fine.
More.
Hey Kaylee, so Kaylee said about 10 minutes ago I checked in with someone from the class to see if they're going to join the live stream, but I haven't gotten a message back yet. That's okay. Um, Thanks for letting me know. This, for me, I offer this, and if two people show up, great. Um, it's always more encouraging if more people come through, but if, I'm here, I'm actually like I'm reading something for fun in the background. I'm keeping myself busy. I am happy to kind of provide this time to check in with y'all and answer questions. If questions don't come up, that's okay too. Um, if nobody shows up, then I'll start thinking about like, all right, maybe I won't do this. But if one or two people just show up and just kick it, like even if they're not answering questions, asking questions, that's fine. I'm happy to provide this time. So thank you for letting me know, and no worries. want to text me something? Oh, cool. So Kaylee said the video lectures are really so in the chat. I've asked. I'd love to hear from you in the chat. I said, what are some things that are working well for you as we do distance learning in French or in other classes? What is not working so well for you? And Kaylee, thank you, Kaylee. Kaylee said the video lectures are really helpful. A couple of my classes are doing that. This class and choir. That's awesome. I think we as your teachers are doing our best to put something out there that works for you, and we don't really know what works, so we're just trying our best to offer as much as we can. So I'm really glad to hear that the video lectures are working really well. I know that some students haven't been engaging with the video lectures as much in one of my other classes, and it's hard to know what's not working about that, right? So is it the length of the video? Is it the video format where they would rather read? And so I'm really glad to hear that it's working for you, and I hope that yeah, that you're finding the support you need from your teachers. So welcome. If you're just joining us, this is a great time to ask questions about the class or even to just check in. I'm not sure if you can see the rest of the chat where Kaylee and Bailey have been really active in kind of asking questions and just generally checking in. If you have questions, I'm here to answer them. I'm happy to answer. Yes, so Andrea, welcome. Good to see you. Andrea asked, do you know if the dual credit requirements has changed at all since having online school? Yes, I do know that, and the answer is yes, they have changed. They haven't changed drastically, but they are a little different from the school-wide policy. So earlier I explained that Verona Area High School we're taking the approach of your third quarter grade is going to be your semester grade. You can improve that grade through your work in fourth quarter, which isn't really a thing. It's not really a fourth quarter. It's just distance learning until the end of the semester. So that's the school policy. I did speak with UW Green Bay, and they've since sent more information. It's still a little unclear, but for the most part, the message was, this is from the professor at UW Green Bay, who's our liaison, the message was, you are supposed to continue doing the work in French 4. So in French 4, if you want retro credits, I do have to continue assigning work and grading it. That does not mean the work will be as rigorous as it normally would be. That does not mean that the work will be graded harshly or anything like that. It means that you simply do have to keep up with the work if you do want the retro credits for what UW Green Bay is calling quarter 4. So Andrea, I hope that answers your question. The way it breaks down is essentially UW Green Bay is having a quarter 4, Verona is not having a quarter 4. And UW Green Bay is giving us some flexibility in terms of, you don't have to assign a million different things. You don't have to have really, really, really rigorous assessments, nothing like that. But they do want some grades. And so it's my job to continue providing you with the stuff. And I'm really excited to provide that to you. I'm especially excited to move past the subjunctive and into the little prints. And you'll still be given opportunities to learn and perfect your French, but they'll mostly be in the name of cultural enrichment and just kind of getting a better sense of French culture, practicing your French essentially, and they will not be as rigorous as it would normally be. But that work will still be graded, and you do still need to complete it if you want the retro credits, if you want to earn the little credit. That's a really good question. Thank you for asking. Okay, so Andrea, good follow-up question. Thank you. So just to make sure I understand, UW Green Bay wants a quarter 4 grade, but Verona isn't having a fourth quarter. Correct. So does that mean that we have a fourth quarter for French, or just assignments that will count as a fourth quarter? So the short answer is yes, that's essentially it. UW Green Bay, they on site, on UW Green Bay's campus, they are still having a quarter 4, and so they're asking us to have a quarter 4, but it's essentially like much simpler assignments than it would normally be, with looser due dates and looser grading, and just generally a little bit less rigorous in terms of curriculum. And then to answer your second question, so does that mean that we have a fourth quarter for French, or just assignments that will count as a fourth quarter? I think I follow your question. There is no fourth quarter for Verona. For French, we do have to continue doing work. For most of your classes, the work you do from now until the end of the school year can only improve your grade. That's true for French as well. But in terms of your UW Green Bay transcript, you will have a fourth quarter grade that reflects the work you do now until the end of the school year. So there is a fourth quarter for French, I suppose, in the way that there is work to do. Again, it's not going to be, I want it to be loose. Um, Whereas with your other classes, you've been given the option to essentially um, opt out of fourth quarter at Verona. So if you're taking a PE class or something like that, like you've been given the decision to, you can say, and I'm happy with my grade for third quarter. I'll take that as my, you have a bunch of different options for that: pass, no pass, grade, continuing the work to try to boost that grade, and so on and so forth. For French, for your high school career, your high school diploma, high school transcript, it's going to show as semester 2 grade. So you won't have a fourth quarter grade for this year. You'll have a third quarter grade and a semester 2 grade for Verona. For UW Green Bay, they want you to have a fourth quarter grade. So that means the work that you do this quarter will be reflected on that transcript. But again, I'm going to make it as simple as possible. So again, I hope I'm I hope I'm understanding your question. And if I'm not, please let me know. I hope that answers your question. If that's still unclear, let me know, and I can try to clarify. I understand that it's confusing. It's kind of a strange situation. Okay. Thanks, Andrea. I'm glad you. Okay. If it's still unclear, feel free to follow up. I'm happy to answer. To try again. So we've got about 5 minutes to 4. I think this is a good time to start kind of wrapping things up. If you have questions for me, please ask them now. Otherwise, I will be having. I think I'll do this again next week, and I'll repeat that in the class for tomorrow. And in class for tomorrow, I'll kind of try to go through some of these questions that you've asked and my answers, just to make it available to the most people possible. If you haven't already, I'd really love to hear what's going well, what's been working for you with online learning, and what hasn't been working so well for you with online learning. And that can be in French or it can be in other classes. Okay, so Andrea said, I don't know if you've talked about this yet, but I was wondering what our next unit was going to be since we are supposed to have a test tomorrow. Yeah, so what I'm going to be doing is I'll be going through the homework tomorrow, and I'll offer a class basically like I normally do online. Um, and then what I'll do is I'll open up a test on Canvas that goes through Monday or something, where you can pop in and take it anytime between now and I think I'll have it due. I think I'll give you until Wednesday maybe to take it, and then Monday can just be kind of like an in between day. I want to give you plenty of time to take it, and you'll be able to take 2 attempts. You'll have plenty of time to take it, and yeah. And I did talk about it earlier, where I said I'm mostly interested in a diagnostic, where it's like, hey, have you got this subjunctive thing down? So then we can move on and kind of close the chapter, close the book on that chapter. Our next unit would just be the Petit Prince, and what I'll be doing is I've got scans of the book, and I'll be distributing pieces of it through ClassKick to have you read, and I'll kind of walk you through what I'm looking for with that. Um, and I've got a few assignments tied to it, but it's mostly going to be focused on reading and discussion. So you'll have discussions on Canvas in French, where I'll ask you kind of a question, and it'll just be like basically a check-in um, about, you know, understanding the reading, and then there will be open discussions every week in English, where you can discuss with each other. Okay, well, I didn't get this part of the book. Oh, I didn't get this part of the book, but yeah. So it's going to be Le Petit Prince. It won't be as rigorous as it normally would be. It'll be more focused on just exposing you to this text and trying to get as much of it as you can, uh, and to kind of enjoy it as much as you can. So that'll be the next unit, the final unit. Good question. Yeah, and I know that y'all were really looking forward to reading Le Petit Prince, and so I'm really excited to give that to you. I've read it many times, so I feel really confident with my understanding of the text, and there's a lot to offer from it. It's a pretty rich text in terms of tackling a lot of different ideas, and it's very sweet and charming and all kinds of good stuff. And so I'm almost glad that we can have this kind of looser approach to it, where it's less, I've got to test you on it and grade you on it and such, and more, hey, let's just read this book together, and do a little bit of work, but mostly geared at understanding it and getting the most you can from it. I'm really excited about ClassKick as a tool that we'll be using, because I really want to encourage y'all to practice active reading, of underlining of certain words, of highlighting passages and stuff like that. And I think ClassKick is a great tool for that. So I look forward to walking y'all through that. Okay, last call for questions. Stick around for another minute or so, and then I'll sign off. Okay, well, I'll close it off there. Thanks so much to those of you who showed up, and I'll continue offering this as long as people continue to show up uh, every Wednesday from 3 to 4 p.m. And I'll give you kind of reminders and stuff. It's a great chance to check in. It's good to hear from y'all. It's very weird to not have class. I still am getting used to that. Um, and I look forward to uploading your class for tomorrow because we do have class tomorrow. Please check out that video here on YouTube or in Canvas. Um, and in that video, I'll be going over the homework and talking a little bit more about the test, what my expectations are, and then moving forward. Until then, take good care of yourselves, take good care of each other, of your families. Be gentle with yourself. This is a really weird time, and it can be painful for some and joyful for others, and both at the same time sometimes. So yeah, take good care, and I look forward to hearing from you all soon.